Your Honor, on the alleged afternoon per se, the witness's affidavit shows decorum in extenso, quoted verbatim in pari delecto non est inventus.
If you've seen one breast, you've seen them both.
That's a good one. Yeah. If you have a chance, take it. Find romance, fake it. We used to say that Jazz Coleman from Killing Joke has successfully predicted 19 of the last 0 apocalypses. You think Trump is shady? What about that cross-dressing idiot Herbert Hoover?
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
I'm living far away where anything can reach the ceiling.
We're back.
Yeah.
We survived a trip to Savannah, Georgia.
It was kind of a fly-by-night adventure, but
Sure was.
I have learned more about truck stops than I ever thought possible.
I have a little bit of a fascination with truck stops.
It was,
You actually lost me in the one, remember?
oh my God, you were just...
It was like, look, you can get a Slim Jim to open up your car. You can get a hard hat. You can get remember they had everything a serial killer would want all in one section.
Place.
It was like rope, duct tape, a hammer. It was like everything you would need.
Gloves.
Your gloves. It was all right there. Right? The serial killer section of the truck stop.
I
Yeah.
remember in the bathroom on the top of the trash was like an almost unused pair of really heavy green gloves. I'm like, were these used in a murder?
And then we discovered, it shall remain nameless, but the largest convenience store in the United States.
I could not.
It was as big as an aircraft carrier.
How big this place was.
Just the gas pumps, and they have people cutting brisket inside. They have a
jerky bar,
like 30 kinds of jerky hanging on the wall. It was like the truck stop.
Fudge.
Amazing. Yeah.
Anything you could want.
Yeah.
Would you say they had more food than Mexico?
In that one store, they had more food than probably all of Latin America, actually. So, yeah.
T-shirts, caps.
Yeah, anything to keep the drivers on the road. Yeah, oh, I need a pair of socks. Oh, right here at the truck stop. Yeah. So
The safety vest.
we
the
saw
hard
a
hat.
lot of truck stops. Yes, we did. So.
Yeah, well, you kind of, and the restrooms are immaculate because they know that's what you want is clean restrooms. My hack was always not to go to the gas station, but to go in a hotel, and because they usually always have a
We did a little of that too.
Yeah, they always have a nice bathroom on the ground floor, so you just walk in and pass. Remember that one we went through? It was like all these conference rooms, and there was a strange dance class going on in one of them. I thought it was odd.
You Bastard Soda, one of this week's sponsors.
They're an opposing force to Liquid Death, so they're much better. Bastard Soda, so give them a try.
You Bastard. Anyway, so we survived, drove an outrageous amount of miles.
Saw a lot of warehouses.
Yes, we did. So, inspired by the woman that you said came in to talk a little bit about the 101-year-old woman that came into the eye doctor.
She actually comes in all the time. She comes in about every 6 months, and she is 101. I'm not going to name names. We'll just say her first name is Daisy. So there's that.
Right.
But can we speculate for a moment what that must be like? I mean, forget about going to the eye doctor. I would be excited every morning that I freaking woke up.
Yeah.
I'm alive, bitches. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So her husband died a long time ago. All of her friends have died. Most relatives died. After a while, don't you think they start feeling like the Highlander?
You can't relate to anyone, but imagine the drugs you can get. My wrist hurts a little. I'm thinking morphine today. Maybe Oxycontin tomorrow. With a Bloody Mary chaser and a side of pot cookies. Sure. Instantly, the script is called in. You have a specialist for your heart, feet, bladder, internal medicine, and standing weekly hair appointment. Anybody pisses you off, you just have to threaten to take them out of the inheritance.
When you get to be a certain age, you can yell at people or insult them, give them dirty looks, fart, swear, button line, and be cranky all you want. And somehow you come off as old and cute. You can recall the actual ingredients of figgy pudding back to when it was meat instead of figs.
Imagine a political discussion. You think Trump is shady? What about that cross-dressing idiot Herbert Hoover? Stock market crashes, Mexicans forced out of the country. Everybody knew the Smoot-Hawley tariff wasn't going to work. Plus terrible taste in moo-moos.
Yeah, and definitely by that age, if you leave your hair in those little sponge curlers all day, that's fine.
And nobody's winning any beauty contests at the age of 101.
Yeah, and they were going to start this woman on fish oil gummies. Her kids.
The hell with
falling
that.
for
That's
her.
not the kind of gummy she's going to be wanting. So shifting gears a little bit, I was thinking about, I haven't been to traffic court since the 90s. There was this one stretch of in Kingsville where I used to always get pulled over and I'd get a ticket. And the process might be totally different now. You get a fine and some points, and the cop would tell you if you want to get the points knocked off, you should go to court. Basically, you go to court and plead guilty and apologize. Especially if you had a clean driving record, they would just knock the points off. And usually the fine,
PJ, motherfuckers.
right? The fine would be a lot less too. Instead of $70, it would be like $10 court cost or whatever. So, but
I was always like, wait, I get a peanut butter and jelly?
the difference between traffic court and jury duty was traffic court was actually very entertaining.
Yeah.
The judge was always this irritable, white-haired Burgess Meredith looking motherfucker. I always didn't want to be there. There was always a lot of sighing, piercing eye contact, and the resting bitch face. So here's the scene. So you got Burgess, got the cop that actually wrote the tickets off to the side. Your best bet was that the cop didn't show up. I never had that.
Me
Did you
either.
ever have that?
Nope.
I was always jealous of the ones that'd be like, all right, dockets 13 through 26 are all dismissed because Officer Poopy Pants didn't show up, you know. So you got out then, but that never happened to me.
Yeah. Why didn't I ever get the absent-minded
I
cop
never-
like to sleep in?
I never got it either. So they call you up, and the officer would give his little spiel. You know, it was the intersection of Bel Air Road and Hartford Road at approximately 10:13 a.m. on the 26th of October.
I noticed the suspect.
Right,
all
right.
that.
All the cop talk, you know. And then you had three choices: plead guilty,
Right.
plead not guilty, or my personal favorite, guilty with an explanation. No matter how lenient the judge was, and he was always very lenient, I thought. People love to argue. Your Honor, I was late for a very urgent hayride. It was foggy and I was exhausted, seeing how it was Columbus Day and all. I'd forgotten my glasses and my children were in the back seat, snot rocketing furiously. But the best ones to me were the ones that had watched a lot of courtroom dramas on TV,
God.
and they thought that they could get up there and dazzle the judge. Your Honor, on the alleged afternoon per se, the witness's affidavit shows decorum in extenso, quoted verbatim in pari delicto non est inventus. Oh, and habeas corpus or something. Anyway, I object.
Yeah, you could always feel what cases were going to be the most fun by how many people stood up.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it was the perpetrator and 6 witnesses, you know, wow, get out the popcorn, you know.
Yeah, that happened to me. This one case. Exactly, like when 6 people stood up, I was like, oh, hell yeah, right? Woman caused like a 5-car pileup. A mattress came flying off her roof on the highway. Apparently, the cop had to chase her down after that. And she said something like, I thought I saw some commotion behind me, but I thought it was best just to get off the exit ramp and check on things later.
God.
Meanwhile, there's people hobbling around with casts on their legs and arms, waving canes angrily, yelling about incorrectly tied clove hitches and sheepshanks, proper use of bungee cords, Serta mattress recalls, mass hysteria.
You know, some people actually will bring an attorney with them
To traffic
to
court
traffic
railing.
court,
Really?
and often this makes things worse.
Yep.
There was this one case where the woman had been pulled over 2 separate times within half an hour.
What the fuck was she doing?
And the lawyer, I guess, trying to act like it was some kind of conspiracy, said that the cop was playing a cat and mouse game with her. That did not go over well
I would not think so.
with the judge from My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
A cat and mouse game? More like a man given a badge and a gun trying to protect public welfare. Apparently, there is a 1 pullover limit, even if you speed multiple times. No.
Pretty sure she got the electric chair for that. The lawyer went to lunch and had a martini.
You know, I was witness to a lady who avoided a traffic device by pulling into the entrance of a bank and then out the other side.
We've all done that.
But it is our Uber driver did it. But it is technically called avoiding a traffic device. And she pleaded not guilty with sketchy explanation. We think she had already established that she could not prove that she had an account there because that question had already been asked. She claimed she was thinking about opening her account, but then realized she forgot her identification. The judge literally face palmed the second she said it and said, That would be the license you handed the officer right after when he pulled you over. Is that what you didn't have?
Criminal mastermind.
The whole courtroom was tittering, and there were giggles. Well, she turned red, and she said, "Oh, well, I found it by then." Bang! Guilty. Pay the clerk.
Okay, shall we talk about our feature interview this week?
Our feature interview this week is with Jason Sidote and Morgane Mattuzzi. Jason runs the Hodo Rex record label and is involved with multiple side projects, including Neutron, Solstice, and Skeleton Toucher. Morgane is a Swiss opera pop singer and the voice behind Syneye. It is a project built around a condition that she has called synesthesia, which is a neuropsychological trait in which the stimulation of one sense causes the automatic experience of another sense. We have a great chat about how these two came to collaborate on their multiple projects, the state of digital music creation, commercialism in the US versus Switzerland, and even how she plays pranks on her mom with potatoes. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that.
Okay, let's play a song from Neutron Solstice with Morgane. This is Monsters. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts. $6.66 a month unlocks tons of bonus content that you can't find anywhere else. Did we ever upload your pickle?
No,
thing? We got to do that.
Yeah, doing that today. And we have another, we're actually going to also maybe try some live streaming. The dramatic, will Mark be able to guess blindfolded what beer I just gave him?
Yeah, we'll announce the date of the live stream soon. And then that'll end up on Patreon as well. Me in a pink mask trying to guess what beer. And I have decided that I'm going to review the first 3 Tubes albums. So does White Punks on Dope still hold up? You'll have to tune into Patreon and see.
And remember, in addition to helping this podcast, you are also helping the artists that we promote, as well as go to shows and review them for you. So that little bit helps us a whole lot. And it's less than you spend at Starbucks. Come on.
You know we made you laugh, and I got to pay for hair dye. So come on. Anyway, okay. So do you ever know of someone who's an aggressive eater?
Oh, yeah.
I used to work with this guy. I'll never forget the first time I went to lunch with him. He grabbed the burger savagely, took a huge bite, slammed it down, took a deep breath, picked up the fork, savagely skewered the pickle like he was harpooning orca or something. I wanted to say, are you under the impression that that food is going to bite you back? It's lunchtime. We're not wrestling an alligator, you know. I just turned away. I couldn't watch him plunder the French fries. The ketchup was starting to look like blood, like that level of violence. Just really aggressive eater. So you've encountered this?
Yeah, I had a boyfriend who, number one, would grab his food, like, off, if you have like a serving plate, onto his plate before his son, and he would block it,
that's
block
right.
out
You
like
told me
this.
about that. It was like, I get the waffles first.
It was like, okay, over your son, maybe let him go first.
He was what, 9?
And there was plenty of waffles. And then
Get the fuck out of the way, Junior.
He was like an angry dog, like blocking out around his plate.
I get first dib on the pork chops, you little bastard.
So weird. I picked my food first, God damn it.
So we were watching I Am a Stalker. We watched all of I Am a Killer. We're watching I Am a Stalker. And it occurred to me that what these stalkers really need, they just need a personal advisor.
Maybe a little life coach.
They just don't make good decisions. So, for example, 6 dozen roses. It's a bit much. Why not start with a small bouquet? See where it goes from there.
Maybe an edible arrangement.
Um,
Maybe reach out with a card or note. See, even if your message is an earnest one, if she looks up in the sky and sees a skywriter spelling out "Love my Lucille," she may get a little freaked out,
I know.
seeing as it's your second date.
If she doesn't respond to your text within an hour, I'd go with maybe one follow-up text. I know you were thinking 63, but let's try it my way,
If she says she's not at home, I'd take her word for it instead of driving over, hiding in her bushes, and peering in her window.
Yeah, that might not go well. I understand you want her to know how you feel. I mean, maybe see if you can tell her in person, nice greeting card, instead of spray painting "I want you" across the hood of her car. See, vandalism is very rarely seen as romantic.
Parchment quill love notes tacked to the door with a large knife written in blood or some substance that might be blood is a bit medieval.
Yeah.
How about daffodils?
How about some daffodils? Okay. And it's really hard to pull off the funny meeting you here when she points out that you're the only man in the ladies' room. Awkward.
It's like your assertion that she doesn't seem to like. If you've seen one breast, you've seen them both.
That's a good one. Yeah. Word order matters. Will you marry me is much more traditional than you will marry me.
Punctuation matters.
This has been Advice for Stalkers with Mark and Stace. So why don't you introduce another song?
This is a great one from Neutron Solstice. This is Nature's Signal.
Okay, let's talk about imperfect foods.
Okay, we got our delivery this week. I would show you the cheese, but it's already gone. It died in a fiery death of
That was
horseradish.
that was with horseradish mustard last night. Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Great snacks. Yeah, they are a wonderful service. Recently, they merged with Misfit Market, so they even have a bigger selection. Every week, the meats are fabulous. I did not bring the meats down because I was afraid they would.
We don't have the meats.
We have them. They're just in the fridge, but I have.
We don't have the meats available right now.
And we also have a dog here, so it probably wouldn't go good.
No.
But I bought steaks from them, chicken breasts. That's actually what we ate for lunch today because anyway. And they have ones that have sauces already on them. Amazing. But I will show you some products that I could bring down. Baking chocolate by Imperfect. Nothing wrong with this. Again, a lot of their products would have not made it to the grocery shelves because of some imperfection or overstocking.
That would be a great slogan. Nothing wrong with this food.
Nothing wrong with this food. They'll tell you.
Really shoot for the stars with that slogan.
What's wrong with the produce? They'll tell you it's larger, smaller, blemishes. So, but they also have great products like this. This is a rather sizable thing of taco seasoning.
Nothing wrong with it! Exclamation point.
Which maybe was too small for a restaurant, and anyway, normally you can't get this.
That's a great size.
I love this size. I'm
hot pepper flakes too. We get the bulk size of them. Yeah.
So you can get nifty little products like this. Of course, the chocolate covered everything. You see, we've already gotten into this. This is great. Again, products and that would have probably get thrown out. So you reduce your carbon footprint. You help with your CO2. Obviously, global warming is a problem. It's October here and it's 80-some degrees here today. It's nuts. So you can help out with all that. Also, they have really good sauces. I brought down 2 of them. This is a plum tomato marinara, and this is a street corn queso. And this is actually the Imperfect brand, so you're help saving the planet. So you can use
Let's get some chips and hit that queso tonight.
Yeah, I think we will.
Let's do that.
So you can get over there, use our link, and it will save you $20 off your first order. Anything over 60 ships for free directly to your door, packed in ice. And you can even reuse the ice. We use that in the cooler.
That's right, we did. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The ice pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time. Collectorbation. Before we get started on this week's Collectorbation, I just want to say that I had a chance and I took it. If you have a chance, take it. Find romance, fake it. It's all $1 at the Bowery. So Stevie Winwood. Anyway, this week's Collectorbation is on the Uli Roth era Scorpions. We'll start with the super early stuff. Let's see. I don't have Flight of the Rainbow, but we'll start talking about that one first. First of all, this is the record that I'm going to show off because this has a cooler album cover than any of their early album covers. The Scorpions had terrible album covers in the early days. That's a winner. This should have been like
You could have done every album. This was a different.
Hell yeah. Ass, tattoo, done. Anyway, so first of all, Flight of the Rainbow, 1974. 2 years after their debut, the monumental Lonesome Crow, that's I already reviewed that on Patreon. The band undergoes a reboot of sorts with new lead guitarist, drummer, and bass player. Subsequently, the reverb-drenched, half-baked jazz metal vibe is replaced with a sort of European take on Hendrix. The artwork, unified with Lonesome Crow, seems to suggest some kind of continuity, but nothing could be further from the truth, and the Uli Roth era of the band begins its climb for recognition.
While the drop in quality is significant, it's not a bad record. The combination of Roth's psychedelic Jimmy worship and Mine's golden pipes hit pay dirt and riffy opener Speedy's Coming. That tonk, tonk, tonk of the cowbell just lights up the whole song. This Is My Song is another hot spot, multi-track guitars bubbling over furiously with hooky melodies as Mine puts soothing verses. They Need a Million actually recalls some of the quirkiness of the debut with its acoustic workouts and odd turnaround.
Of course, Drifting Sun gives us our first peek at Uli Roth's rotten vocals. Apparently, they were a package deal, as his fantastic guitar prowess in future records would continue to be weighed down by his horrific hiccups and moans. Make no mistake, everything Roth sings would sound better if Klaus Meine handled all singing duty. This may be why I don't have this record. It's not a bad record. The band would continue to gel over subsequent releases. For completists and Uli Roth fans only, I would say. Which brings us to In Trance. And yes, I do have the lame, blacked out booby version. I didn't have the cool vinyl with the tit hanging out. Damn it. But anyway, In Trance, the Scorpions continue to hone their craft for this album. Another album, another drummer, but you won't really be able to tell the difference because they're leaning hard on hard rock. The band doing its best to cast off psychedelic trappings, thanks in no small part to one Dieter Dirks, now on board as Studio Svengali and Fanboy.
Song lengths are trimmed to a much tidier 3 to 5 minute range, much to the chagrin of still Jimmy-worshipping guitarist Uli Roth. But Dirk's steady hand, even his riffs and solos sound heavier, doomier, more string shakes and roaring low end than endless blues bends. This is best evidenced in the slashing melodic crushers, Life's Like a River, and Living and Dying. Klaus Meine's sweet vocals crisscrossing tight with Roth's thunder and an occasional wayward organ line. The title track also soars, the depth and passion of Meine's vocals stepping to the forefront as the song flickers between loud and quiet. While not a single, the hopelessly catchy Robot Man finds the band ready to take a stab at radio-friendly fare. Its mechanical structure and tight arrangement demonstrating the Scorpions' true capability for world domination, as long as Uli handles the guitar and Klaus the vocals.
Of course, things are still progressing at this point, and there are some examples of the Uli Roth school of crappy singing that tragically get pressed to vinyl. Opener Dark Lady has become a bit of a metal classic, but his vocals are limited and surrounded in an envelope of overdubbed Mina melody, making it much more palatable. That's the song I'm going to play for you because I love Dark Lady. A sort of barnstorming cousin to Speedy's Coming. His other contributions, like Sun in My Hand, are the usual throbbing, forgettable hippie fare. In fact, most of side 2 is forgettable. But overall, the superior songwriting and sexy album cover, Mine Does Not Have Tits, and capable production make In Trance an album worth owning. This is Dark Lady. Okay, Scorpions continue. Virgin Killer would be next. I'll let you take it, love.
Virgin Killer almost feels like a step back, following the stormy, elegant compositions of 1975's In Trance. It's another of Dirk's produced collection of short post-psych ballads and manic pre-metal assaults. The highs seem higher, the lows bordering on abysmal for a band so chock-a-block with talent at this stage.
Typical scrappy opener, pictured life aside, the colorful slow burner In Your Park is the best performance to date. Built on Mina's stylish hooks and surprisingly restrained Uli Roth harmonics chiming away like church bells. Waves of howling blues and squalls of dissonance throb against Mina's haunting serenade in the gripping Crying Days, and the immaculate vocal harmonies of Yellow Raven are fiery and sophisticated, particularly for a German band performing in English.
Despite the obvious strengths and new sonic heights, Uli is still singing some of the songs. Hellcat is a joke. His ridiculous yelping and wheezing actually seems to be getting worse over an odd herky-jerky riff that strikes like a rejected Blackfoot song. The title track tries to push the envelope into the metal territory by screaming its way to the promised land, but it doesn't work and comes across like a demo for a much better song, Blackout, which would be released much later.
In the final analysis, the album's as strong as its predecessor, but the fact that the band hasn't taken inventory of their weaknesses at this point is a little disappointing. Then there's the matter of the original album art. I'll put it up on the screen. What were they thinking? Which is why I'm showing off ass tattoos. All right, let's talk about Taken by Force. It took, this is 1978. I have it, of course. Taken by Force. I have the lame cover. I want to get that vinyl with the graveyard cover, so much better. But anyway, Taken by Force. It took several years and 4 albums with Hendrix-obsessed Uli John Roth for the Scorpions to figure out a winning formula. But the release of Taken by Force finally finds the band delivering a great hard rock album from start to finish. Despite the ever-present struggles with English and the fact that titles Sails of Charon and Will Burn the Sky suggest 1967, the band finds a way to work around Uli's shortcomings and craft a winner.
I've been waiting to say this. Klaus Meine handles every vocal this time.
Yes.
The results are impressive. The band sounding tight and in powerful cuts like the riot of our time, sprinting along in metallic fashion, alternating between acoustic and fiery, electric charge over the course of 4 minutes. Mellowy fare like the funky Your Light seems to strike the perfect balance between Roth's hazy psychedelic hangover and Mine's soaring vocal capability.
Of course, this album contains 2 megalithic metal staples that are rightfully the stuff of legend. First, the aforementioned Sails of Charon, which we're going to play for you in a minute, an impossibly exotic excursion that speaks of black magic and destroyers over a bastardized herky-jerky classical guitar trek, rattling along unlike any metal song before or after. The second of the album's twin towers would be He's a Woman, She's a Man, a crash bang gallop celebration of metal's androgyny. Incredible stuff.
The original artwork features 2 figures playing with toy guns in a cemetery. It's a spectacular photo, the green grass and those white crosses with the stark black shadows. Of course, it was banned. I think the ban was just on the label's radar at this point for all the poor Spinal Tap choices in the past, which is a real shame this time around. Treat yourself to the 2015 reissue. This one is worth a few extra bucks for the artwork.
I just want to say, it speaks to the incredible talent of this band, because they really had like 3 careers. Like this was their first career, the heavy psych kind of era. Then the whole Rock You Like a Hurricane, Blackout era in the 80s. And then they had the Winds of Change in the 90s. That was the #1 song, I think. So just kept reinventing themselves, top notch, right? Just like Priest, Maiden, Scorpions deserve every bit of credit. And they're still together now. Klaus is still singing. So let's play The Sails of Charon.
All right, so we have come down to it. This is our interview with Jason and Morgane. So we had a great chat with them about all their multiple projects going on. This is Jason's actual second time on our show. We met him back at Maryland Death Fest when we were a very young, inexperienced podcast. So we meet him again with his new collaborations. He's come a long way. We've come a long way. That was all the way back when we were still just on Spotify. So thank you, Jason. He met us at, like I said, Maryland Death Fest. We gave him our card. He immediately just started handing us stuff, music contacts, his band, music that he was promoting, and he got us started in a big way. So he will always support everything he does. He really chooses some really cutting edge music, as you will hear. So here's our interview with Jason and Morgane.
Yeah, wow, you guys have grown so much. Like, it's awesome to see the podcast like taking off like this.
Yeah.
Y'all deserve it though. You grind so much, like you really do.
Yeah, it's kind of our full-time job away from our full-time job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
That's
understand
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
That's
We
crazy.
always tease like when we like tune into like another metal podcast and it's 2 guys going, I like it. Did you like it? I like it. I like it a lot. I'm like, oh my God.
There's a lot of that out there.
Yeah, and you guys are so different, like really with what you do too. So it's really cool. I like it a lot.
Not everyone has sock puppets, you know.
Yeah, that was actually harder than it looked to do the sock puppets. So anyway,
So what about you? Is it Morgane?
I don't know how to say my name in English because everyone says it differently. You
Yeah,
can call me Morgan, I guess.
yeah,
That's
Morgan.
Morgan,
Yeah,
usually.
yeah.
So you are kind of the S.J. Jones of Sweden, wouldn't you say?
The S.J. Jones.
Do you know S.J.?
No.
No.
Oh, she's a big producer and collaborator out of South Africa. In fact, she just released some of her own stuff. We Are Pigs.
Oh, right. Oh no, I don't know
Oh,
her.
wow.
I'm gonna check it out. Thank
She
you.
worked with a lot of people like you. That's why you instantly reminded me. We talked about her on another show, but
Oh, that's killer.
Oh, awesome. Okay. What's her name again?
it's S.J. Jones.
S.J. Jones. Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
her project is We Are Pigs. That might be easier to remember.
Ah,
Have you heard of that?
yes, this I have, but I didn't know it was a.
That's all her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how much she does with producing like her own music and mixing and mastering. Like it's like an all-in-one kind of thing. It's pretty impressive, really.
Yeah, you just kind of reminded me of the way that she does things because there's no albums. It's just single, and every single song she'll involve like, okay, this one has somebody from Korn, this one has somebody from Alien Ant Farm. You know,
Right.
It's really
A new way of doing it.
it's the new way of doing things.
Yeah.
I think. Do you feel that way? That it's kind of the way things are going?
I
as far as-
actually do, yes. I feel like more and more, we just have like our little home studios and are, just producing from there. I personally think it's the future, but
I think you're
of
right.
course it's still amazing to have like big studios where you can go, like record in better conditions, I would say. But I don't know, I just feel like the industry sound is like becoming different because of like the home studio setup, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're getting like a new type of sound, a more genuine home type of sound, I would say. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, with the singles, it makes so much more sense with the algorithm, the way they want you to do it digitally. Like if you wait a year and a half, 2 years to build up an album and release it, you lose so much really just in the digital sense of releasing albums these days. It's so different.
How did you guys come together with you being in Sweden and you being in the US? Like, what's the story?
Actually, I'm from Switzerland, but
Switzerland,
yeah, don't worry. Well, he contacted me on Instagram. Yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was just doing a demo with the electronic music project, and I didn't really find specifically my sound with I wanted to combine like the operatic vocals, and she went to like the best school in the world, like Royal College of Music for Opera, but I wanted like a pop vocalist too, like a Bjork-esque, like unique voice, and I couldn't ever find anybody that had the combination of those two vocal styles until I met Morgane. It's really rare and unique, so she was like my #1 choice to work with, and it just took off from there, you know?
Great.
So when you're finding clients, do they come to you or do you seek them out, or is it like a mix of both?
To be honest, I've been really, really, really lucky. So far, it's always been people coming to me. So yeah, I just feel really, really blessed. But yeah, sometimes I actually do try to send out applications and things like that, but it's never worked out.
Really?
Every time I would like, try to apply for like an opportunity or something like that, a production opportunity or something like that, it would never really work out. But I've always had people coming to me since I've started in 2019. So yeah, I've just been really lucky, I would say,
So tell us a little bit about your Syneye and your synesthesia and how that kind of figures into your work.
Oh, yeah. So I have synesthesia. For people who don't know, it's like a neurological condition that I don't know how to explain, like enables me to see music in colors and shapes. And I really love electronic sounds, electronic type of sounds, because that's what triggers the most colors and shapes in my, mind's eye. So yeah, basically every track I've made with Syneye are just like really like a painting for me. When I produce for Syneye, it's almost like I paint, if that makes sense. So yeah.
And you do paint yourself too, right? You have like some artwork for sale.
Yeah, I
That's
do.
really
I
cool.
do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she'll like get different songs that she listens to, is a fan of, and then with the synesthesia, like paint artwork to it. So it's pretty interesting. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's
it's a lot.
different.
It's a lot of fun for me, at least.
Reminds me a little bit of that. What was that movie where the girl was a chess genius and she could see it on her ceiling at night when she was trying to go to sleep, and she could
Oh,
actually visualize the moves? It was wild.
that's
That
amazing.
reminds me of something.
Yeah, Mark of a genius, I think, for sure. I had never heard the term vocal fry screaming.
Yeah.
Is that
Uh, it's just a different type of screaming. Like you have different type of screaming. You have like distortion, which is more I don't know, like well, I should give an example. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
go
know.
for it.
I don't know. Distortion would be more like ah, more like that. It's a mix of clean and a mix of screaming, but you still have some clean vocals. Then you have more like growl type of sound, like screaming, which is more like a ginger, I would say. And vocal fry screaming is what you get into black metal, actually.
okay?
So yeah, it's like not as powerful. Actually, you really need a mic. I mean, at least I do need a mic to
So
make
we
it
would
powerful.
call it more like hardcore yelling, screaming versus black metal, kind of are the two differences.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
just a different vocal placement,
Yeah.
basically. So yeah, and that's what I was doing in my previous trap metal project. So yeah, that's what I used to do.
How do you get from opera to trap metal?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Actually, when I was studying at Royal College of Music, I'm really thankful I got to study there because I got to have a really, good vocal technique and really good training. So, I'm so thankful about that, but it was really not my thing. And I met a lot of people in London and all, and I met an industrial metal band. And it all started from there because I started doing opera vocals for them. And then I don't know, I love hip hop, I love trap, I love many type of music, and just kind of happened. I discovered trap metal when I listened to Scarlord, I think the first time, when I was working at the Montreux Jazz Festival in 2019, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool! Like this is such a cool blend of so many things. And I don't know, and I just started doing it, and then I was like, why not adding opera vocals to that, because I can do that too. And the guy I was working with, like in the metal band, one of the guy had also another side project, and he wanted me to, like also sing for that project, and I didn't know how to scream. So I took lessons to learn how to do like vocal fry, distortion, and all that, so I would be able to do like screaming vocals and opera vocals on his project, basically. So that's
Like
how
metal
it
growling
started.
101.
Yeah. So that's how it started, basically. It was like, like a long process. I didn't wake up one day and was like, oh, I'm gonna, it just kind of happened, I would say.
Last time we talked to Jason, we recommended that he check out Repo, the Genetic Opera, which is like this opera movie that came out a few years ago from the
Oh God,
makers.
probably 25 years ago.
25 years ago from the makers of Saw. That's what your song Nightmare reminded me of. You should probably check that out if you haven't heard it.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, we'll
Thank
watch
you.
that.
Opera,
Yeah.
it's opera and new metal combined, and it's
Ooh.
like 25 years ago. It's really something.
Yeah, we
That sounds
also
pretty cool.
just interviewed, I don't know if you've heard of this band Oriad, but it's mostly just the two people, even though they have other musicians with them. But she sings opera just over top of like blast beats. Now she doesn't
Wow.
do any growling or anything, but it's still kind of intense.
Symphonic doom from the woods.
Yeah. Her videos are crazy. This one, the song is called Blood, so she's literally just bathed in blood the whole
Wow. I want to see that.
So I really liked If I Fall, which is your current single. What kind of industrial elements did you put to get that kind of sad, down-tuned feel in there?
Wow. What kind of sound you said?
Kind of like industrial elements. It almost sounded like to create that kind of almost down-tuned feel.
I'm not sure. Like I used a lot of layers of many pads. I layer a lot of things, so it's hard for me to tell what I have done specifically exactly, but I layer a lot of pads. I layered a lot of vocals with a lot of, like effects on different vocals. I just like blending a lot of different sounds until I find textures I like. But I didn't try to, make it sound any kind of way. I just like making, it sound interesting, and just like the sound make me feel emotions. So when I get to that point where I'm like, okay, yeah, then I'm like, okay, that's it. When I feel emotions from the sounds and everything, that's when I'm like, okay, well, that's it. But I never really tried to get a specific style, if that makes any sense. So I'm not sure how I got to that point.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is what she does. I mean, at least with our new kind of project we've been working on, she will distort her vocals and add a lot of vocal layers, and then actually becomes sounds like part of the
Yeah.
music, which is really interesting. That's very different to me.
Yeah, because you're breaking me inside almost seemed like a pop ballad to me, but the Nightmares was so much harder. Where do you kind of see your music going? Is it gonna kind of be, you know,
Mm, yeah, I think it's I like having projects where I'm, like making music that is more like metal, industrial and all, but for my own project as Syneye, which is the one I want to pursue as a solo artist, it will be more songs like If I Fall, Breaking Me Inside, and yeah, it's more my kind of vibe at the moment, I would say.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So for Jason, for Neutron Solstice, I really love Nature's Signal. Who had the idea for the song's vibe originally? That beat is so hooky.
I think, yeah, like I did the initial melody, just the very melody you hear in the beginning, and then she just kind of textured the whole song after that. So it's like, and I'll put like a little bit of drums maybe here and there, but Morgane kind of takes off with the arrangement. So I'll give her a couple like melody or bass ideas, and then she just goes for it. And then we usually collaborate on the top line, like how it should be sung, and like write the lyrics together lately. So it's like it really comes together like cleanly. It's a weird mix. I mean, we could sometimes have a entire song completed in like 6 or 8 hours or something. So we really like work very quickly together.
Yeah, I never saw like a credit for the beat because you had Sauron Sync listed as a beat credit. I was like, I never saw that before.
Oh yeah, I think the first three singles we did had a guy Soren from Netherlands, and he just did it some additional like arrangement and textures on the keyboard. But all the new stuff I'm working on the sequencer, and that's how I come up with a lot of the music. So it's just her and I now.
Yeah, I loved the video on YouTube of Morgane performing cybernetic culture in the studio. You can really see how you put your whole body into a performance. How do you infuse that emotion into your voice? Do you have to think of something, or are you just thinking of the music?
I think when I start thinking, that's when I'm not, I get too technical and not emotional enough. And when I just let go, that's when, like the magic happens, I would say. So yeah, the more I let go, the better I sing, I would say.
Don't want to overthink it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I try to not overthink it. It was a problem for me for a long time, because of my classical training, when you always have to be so perfect. You cannot be even a little bit out of tune or whatever. Like, I got really stressed out by it. So now I'm really trying to do the opposite. Obviously, to care about my technique and all, but really to let go and let the emotions come to me so I can, like convey them with the audience.
So tell us about your collaboration on Skeleton Toucher too. I love Temples.
Yeah.
It's so different.
We were
It's
supposed to do
so
it
dark.
the other day.
How did that get going?
So that's really cool. Soren, this guy who actually was doing the keyboards for the first three Neutron singles, came up with that beat with another artist called Temples. And I'm like, oh, we should just call the song Temples, and just wrote a song around it. And That's the only song. So that's our first official single, but that's the only song that we had all the stem files, like the individual song files, to mix and master properly. So I'm like, Morgane has to take care of this, because she's like so like concise and exact with mixing and mastering. Like she knows what I want, and she just put like amazing distortion and effects on it. And so maybe in the future, like she has some trap beats that are unreleased and stuff, and maybe we're going to collaborate like actually vocally. But in the future, I think that her and I are just going to do all the beats together with Skeleton. But that's more kind of like our hobby, like aggressive, want to get things out project. We're not like consistently looking towards that as our full-time. Like hers is Syneye, and then us is Neutron. But Skeleton's more kind of like our hobby project now. But yeah, I think in the future we're gonna collaborate together on it, so it should be cool.
I like Beloved Lenore too. Was that based on a story or a real person or?
No, so yeah, all those songs were kind of just like within a day. I had kind of the lyrics come to me, and I just wrote it over top of the beat that seemed to make sense. And the singer on the demo EP, Demetra from Sombria, she did the operatic vocals on that one. So we kind of like were going back and forth with deep vocal lines and speaking parts, and it didn't really fit the element in the song, so we took some of them out and just kind of kept the operatic vocals. But like Morgane gives me a lot of guidance on what'll actually sound good for the project at the end in the mixing phase. And yeah, it's crazy how she really comes together with me for that. So it's awesome.
That's great.
And you had me at Google for the Domovoy, and then I learned it was a real thing. It's a real Russian spirit.
Yeah.
So how did you come across that, and how did you find the connection to bring that in?
Yeah, like ever since I was young, I've really been into like mythology and different folklores from all different nations and countries. And the Slavic folklore is so rich in history and really beautiful. And like Domovoy could be a whole lot of different interpretations depending on what parts of Eastern Europe, I guess, that you're kind of looking at. And I kind of like the more typical, like ethereal house goblin that watches over, you know, the house and their family's belongings. And the guy who did the beats is from Kazakhstan, Baphomet Beats. So I kind of wanted to take like his folklore and his ethnic history and mix that in with like the lyrics I was writing. So that's how I kind of came up with Domovoy. It was actually based off of where he was from. So I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense and goes with the music.
I love it. Should we do our game?
Yeah, let's do our game. Right.
Oh my god.
All right, if you remember our game, don't worry, we went with the lesser of two evils today. There's a much worse game we gave you. So I have 100 questions. So I want you both to pick 3 numbers. If I can find a pen, there we go. Between 1 and 100, and they'll be corresponding to the 3 questions you will answer.
So both 3 numbers.
You first, Morgane.
3 numbers.
Yep.
Okay, 16, 22, and 57.
Okay.
Ooh.
You're up, sir.
All right, 11, 55, and 72.
All right, so Morgane's up first with number 16. Have you ever walked out on a job? Like
Oh
the
my
AI
God.
quit.
Like left a job in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure I did. No, you know what? I didn't. But like, yeah, I mean, some sort like the conditions I agreed on were not met, so I left. But that made sense, you know, because I
sorta
was like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
So I just left. Yes.
You're
But I
like,
cannot give more details, unfortunately.
Yellow wrestling was not in the contract. I'm out.
Exactly.
Exactly. That was pretty much it.
22. Have you ever pulled a prank on someone?
Yes.
Yeah, probably
Many.
more often than she would want to admit.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes, many times.
Like, what did you do? Like, what's
Oh my God, there's one that is kind of horrible. It was on my mom. It was for April's
Oh.
Fool because I used to have a lot of health issues, so she would like really be worried about my health and all. And I don't know why I did that. It's silly, but it's actually really funny. I took like how do you call that when the flower is like
Like the roots of the potato that come out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it's like before it blooms, and I stuck it on my foot, and I took a photo and I sent it to my mom. I was like, "Mom, I don't know what's happening and all," and she got all panicked and all. She was like, "What is happening to you again?" And I know it's silly, but yeah,
Throwing a potato at your foot.
that was funny. But no, but that was a cute one that I can remember.
funny.
But I did a lot of things that were like not as cute.
I love it. All right, moving on to 57. If you threw a party, what would it be like?
If I threw a party, oh my God, it would be super boring. Yeah, I'm an introvert, so we would probably all watch a movie and have tea
Oh,
and
wow.
eat cupcakes. And yeah,
Sounds about right.
maybe drink some red wine if we go a little bit crazy
Yes, one glass only.
and go to bed by 11, because you don't want to.
Well, I mean, that's okay. Like the older we get, the more we put effort into getting out of going to parties. I mean, 'cause,
Yeah,
like,
but I'm
not
26,
going
so
is
I
so much more fun. Yeah. Like
I
we were supposed to go out with some friends for her birthday this past weekend, and one of them got COVID, and I was like, gosh, that made my weekend
That sounds like me.
cancel. I love just not going out. Anyway, so
Oh, it was really hectic. The kids and I went out Thursday night, and I felt like I was dragging all day Friday. I was like, I'm too old to go out in the middle of the
it was a
week.
good
This is horrible.
cancellation. It was good. So, okay, Jason's up.
Jason's up. He picked number 11. If you could instantly learn a language without studying it, which one would you pick?
So definitely French, since I'm working with a Swiss-based producer and she speaks French more often than not sometimes, and I'm trying to understand. It would be useful, especially in the future going forward. So I took French in high school for 4 years and barely remember any of it. When I hear her speak, it's so fast. I'm like, is that even French? Like, it's fucking crazy. So yeah, that would definitely be useful and practical for me to learn French. Yeah.
Yeah, I took it in high school too. I think the only thing I remember is our teacher said, "Oh, I'm going to teach you how to curse." So she was like, "Femme la bouche," and we all thought that was so cool. It's
That's so
basically shut
funny.
up.
I used to work with this woman that she was actually Spanish. She was from Spain. But every once in a while, we had to have her get on the phone with our Mexican factory to translate. And she always acted like it was dirty. Like she would get done and she would be like, ugh. Like she would translate it, but it was like she had to go like get a drink and like shake it off.
Like shrug off the
Offended
Spanish.
by the dialect. Yeah. It's
Oh,
crazy.
funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, so we're up to number 55.
Ooh.
Name a person you would love to see in your audience at a live show.
Ooh. Yo, I would love to see Glenn Danzig in the audience. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, just sitting there like just checking it out, really slowly observing the whole audience. Oh, I could just envision it now. And then we could open up for him on tour. Yes.
Woohoo.
That would be my favorite.
We'll try to hook that up. Let's see, 72. Have you ever binged on a Netflix show, and if so, which one?
Netflix show. I don't think I've ever binged, but I think the closest I got to it was watching. I think I only watched the first season of Stranger Things, as cliche as that is, but I was really into that. And then I didn't have Netflix anymore. I'm not too much of a like TV movie person lately, just because it's like for me, it's a big time eater.
Yeah.
So I always go back to like the older stuff that I kind of grew up with. Like we were watching Bewitched, like and binging on that lately, as crazy as that is, so I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. And I don't know, but yeah, Netflix, she recommended The Man in the High Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's on Amazon, right?
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
I
It's
think it is on Amazon. I don't remember
Yeah, I think that
exactly.
if I do binge on something next, I think it would be that because that sounds really interesting to me.
Yeah,
it's a
sadly-
slow burn. I watched like the first few seasons. It's like if the Nazis would have won World War II, what would it have been like? Yeah, so it's interesting. It is a good show. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't finish it though. Like they don't continue it. That's a shame because I thought it was really interesting.
The Nazis have such sexy clothes in that show, just like the leather overcoats and the eagles and the talons. It's just yeah.
We like the
Oh.
sentiments. We just want your
Yeah, we don't really like their views, but damn, those clothes were
Oh.
sexy. You know.
I'm hot and bothered thinking about it. Oh.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's actually a great series that's in French on Netflix. It's like horror level type, but it's a series called Marianne.
Marianne.
Oh my god, that was
Just-
so
If
scary.
you just watch the trailer, you'll be hooked. It's so
Oh, yo, we definitely will.
all in French, but it's great.
It might help you with French too, because I always have to put up the subtitles, of course, you know.
Yeah, I've seen a show called Astrid that's all in French, and it's like a detective who she's neurodivergent, kind of has autism, but she like solves crimes. But that's in French. That's really interesting.
I think all the best horror comes from France. That it's very demented. Yeah.
Oh really? Interesting.
Yeah. I've just noticed that very depraved. You know.
So what's next up for you guys? You have some more singles coming out, yes?
Yeah.
Crazy. So yeah, I think until really January or February, we have a single coming out every month, and it's all like experimental electronic music, obviously with her singing on it and producing it, but we go to all different genres. Like so some of it is more just like traditional dark pop, like synth wave, dark wave stuff, and then some of it is more like even like tribal, like cosmic cyberpunk tribal in a sense, like where we used different hand drums and like table drums, and she mixed it all together. Like it's really different and unique. So some of it's like spacey, like space wave, synth wave, but so we're kind of going on all the different subgenres of like underground electronic music and trying to blend it together as much as possible. So I think we have what 5 or 6 singles coming out that are unreleased until February.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Yeah. Single a
Yeah.
month.
How you do it?
That's the cell dweller way. That's the way.
Yeah,
people
I
roll,
mean,
you know.
I think we're gonna do like a conceptual EP, like maybe about like a story-based EP, like 3 or 4 songs after January or February,
Mhm.
and have a little break, and then go back to like doing singles every month. So that seems to work out well.
Yeah.
That's good. You keep it fresh that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it exciting. Then you can promote in between the releases, and just when the promotion dies down, it's like another song comes out. So I really like that because you can stay busy with the project. You know, it doesn't keep it from being stale for everybody, and I like that.
And then once you get 12 singles, you can put out a vinyl. You know, if you get that far. You know, I mean, for
Yeah,
that
we would-
crowd. You know.
We would love to. We would definitely love to at some point.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I love
And
vinyl.
you, Morgane, you're headed back home.
Yes, in 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you like it here versus living at home? What are some of the differences that you've noticed?
Wow, like the culture is so different. People are a lot. I mean, it's so hard to tell because I've lived in so many different places. So it really depends where. But I feel like people here are very helpful, very kind, very, like it's easy to find people to speak with, to have like small talk and all. And where I'm from, it's not really that way. Yeah, I don't know, just generally the culture is really different, the way people interact, I would say. The food is different.
Yeah, she was really shocked about how we market everything in America.
Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah, so yesterday
Oh my god.
we were trying to take some videos in the cemetery we drive through, and there's all these signs like, buy your cemetery plot here. This is where you could be buried next. And it's like all like, she's like, are they advertising for cemetery plots? I'm like, yeah,
That's horrendous. Or
course.
the chemotherapy like advertisement on TV. I'm like, what on earth is that? Like, yeah. Whew.
So that's really different.
One of the most crass I ever saw was I was at a football game and I went in to use the restroom, and a big banner above the urinal said, "How's your flow?" Urology. It was for urology. Yeah.
So
It
it's
was like captive
perfect.
audience, you know. So
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, it's so weird. This is really weird for us. We would never have like that in Switzerland. Yeah.
we don't have any boundaries here.
Yeah, I can really tell.
Yeah, and we don't think too deeply about it. Because
Right.
I'm like, why is this? It's not shocking to me at all. Like,
No.
this
Yeah,
forever.
no.
Yeah.
For us, it's really shocking. I've told some friends,
You
about
actually have some privacy, it sounds like.
yeah, they were like,
We have
what
none.
on
Right.
what
As
on
soon as I turned 50, what's on my Facebook feed advertising? Are you having hot flashes? How's your menopause?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like when
we have that too, like on because of the algorithm. So
Yes.
on
as
Instagram
soon
and
as you turn 50, I don't know whether it's this way in your country, but as soon as you turn 50 in this country, the doctors, it's like your warranty's up and the doctors know it. And they're like, yeah, that's good that you're healthy. We're going to run the tests anyway. Like they don't believe that you could possibly not have something wrong with you.
They're going to find it.
They're going to find it.
oh my God. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. You have that to look forward to, right? So,
Oh my God.
Well, when you get back, what are you going to do?
What am
When
I
you get
gonna
back
do? I'm gonna make music.
okay.
A lot
Good
of music. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do all the time, to be honest with you. My life is pretty boring.
Yeah, I mean, anytime I speak with her, it's always working with clients, always producing music, doing her own songs. And I mean, she's like a machine. She'll do 7 days a week. And I'm like, okay, now is the time to probably take a break. Now she's like, should I really not work on Sunday? I'm like, no. I'm like, what, dude? I'm like, you need to take a break, girl. Like, yeah,
I
it's
don't know, I feel
crazy.
guilty when I take breaks, It's so
Yeah.
hard to be a freelancer and make a living.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like I shouldn't take any breaks. But yeah, no, sometimes I have to, otherwise I burn out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard for me to take breaks.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
Do you have any particular projects lined up for your next venture, or you're not at liberty to say?
I'm not at liberty to say, actually.
You can tell
Yeah.
us that you'd have to kill
You'd
it.
have to
So,
kill us,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, you signed. Yeah, she signed an NDA, but pretty
Yeah.
soon we will all see. It'll be interesting.
Okay.
Oh, well, we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled for that one.
Definitely. Well, this was great. It was good to connect with you guys, and good to see you again, Jason. Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
thank
all
you. It was
so
so
much
nice
for
to
the
meet
support.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
both look so well and so happy. I'm glad to see the podcast is doing killer and taking off. And it's our pleasure always to support and
I
promote
went
you
with the
guys.
skeletons for you, Jason.
Oh, yo,
Woo!
thank you
That's
so
sweet.
much.
Okay, Deaf Ears 1 is Get Some. The album is called New Blood. One of these days, I will explore the Alternative Tentacles back catalog properly. Now, make no mistake, I don't just mean amoebics and no means no. I'm talking a deep dive. The Crucifix, Arno Core, and Evan Johns and the H-Bombs. I want to hit all of it. At any rate, I love this band's name. I love the genre. I can go on a post-hardcore bender that lasts for days, and these guys would definitely be involved. Get Some is a four-piece originally from Chicago, formed about 20 years ago, promptly relocated to Denver. Since that time, these four degenerates have released a couple splits, EPs, and 3 full-lengths, counting this latest, New Blood. 9 new songs, dwelling mainly in the 3 to 4 minute range, all of them rife with scraggy, haggy vocals from frontman Luke Fairchild, hard screamed over discordant slashing guitar, frosted with melodies that sparkle 1 minute and howl the next. Feedback squalls are always just around the corner.
It's distinctive, abrasive, but somehow true to the genre all at the same time. Fairchild's manic vocals and cuts like Spit in the Wind are cut from the same cloth as classic Drive like Jehu. But there are plenty of striking moments on the disc, like Antagonized Bats with that creepy bass line from Neil Keener, snuggling up to bell harmonics courtesy of guitarist Charles French. Tension builds marvelously, courtesy of Fairchild's flair for fanning the flames of the crescendo. Another slow burner would be Sharpen the Dunes. French hypnotizing us with 4 repetitive chords against Fairchild's manic shouts that somehow achieves a space rock vibe. The last song buried almost scratches into amphetamine reptile territory with nearly 8 minutes of creeping bass lines, feedback squalls, and vocal agony. It is a track that will leave your brain feeling like it was dragged from a subway car and caned with spoons for 20 minutes. Impressive stuff. Highly recommended for fans of Quicksand, Jesus Lizard, or the aforementioned Drive Like Jehu.
Great stuff. Let's play The Test. Okay, Deaf Ears 2 is Maggot Heart Hunger. Take it away.
I remember having a candy as a child called an everlasting Gobstopper. The wild part about them was that as you enjoyed it, it continued to change flavors as the layers dissolved, each one savory, each one different. And that is the exact sensation I had listening to Maggot Heart's 3rd album. This offering is called Hunger.
Just want to interject there because this reminds me of I had to get a crown replaced this week. And when I was leaving the dentist, he was really proud of how well he sealed it in and everything. And I said, so I can go back to eating 3 boxes of everlasting Gobstoppers a day. And all the color drained out of his face. I said, and then I chew on ice for half an hour usually. He was like, well, don't do that. Anyway, sorry. Gobstopper jokes, people.
So back to Hunger. The chef at the helm whipping up her own secret sauce is Swedish-born Lena Olsson, who provides both vocals and guitar in this Berlin-based 3-piece. Maggot Heart just seems to blatantly defy being slapped with any one genre label. Lena has already made quite a name for herself in other projects like The Oath, Beast Milk, and Grave Pleasures before creating an underground sensation with Maggot Heart, which started off as her solo project.
The album starts off with the burner Scandinavian Hunger. A short feedback squeal instant gives way to pounding drums of Uno Brunason that remain a pulsing rhythmic contradiction under vocals that come in sounding as irritated as me before coffee, while being echoey and abrasive. Linnea seems to be channeling her inner Debbie Harry while admonishing the listener, you are what you eat. Uno's drums take us out, breathless, the way we came in.
A particular standout track is Archer, which starts this time with only a tremolo-style guitar and punk rock half-sung, half-spoken vocals. Lena queries, are you the arrow? Are you the bow? You know, you can be both. One takes aim and the other lets go. The bass of Olivia Airy adds drama to the palpitating mix. A piano melody comes in as a mirror to the vocal lines, and then a trumpet takes over. When the vocals come back in, the trumpet takes up another tune entirely, creating a delicious dissonance. I feel drawn in, hanging on Linnea's every word until the song ends with a short guitar squeal.
Parasite is a whole different taste, starting with throwback punchy distorted guitars, rock-fueled drums. Now Leanna goes all Lou Reed style, spoken vocals, and even more echo effects that create an unhinged feel. Uno's drums take center stage, adding depth to the frenzied feel before fading to a steady jazz beat as the guitar wails on. She breaks up the word parasite in a half-stuttering croon, para-para-para-site. Bass punctuating again here in a track that continues to build till the end.
It's obvious this band is not here to blend in. They are here to spice things up, and in doing so, completely rewrite the recipe. I think you will find a lot to love in this variety pack of rock, alt-rock, punk with a goth feel. Hunger satisfies, but like real hunger, you know it's going to come back, leaving you wanting more.
Okay, well, this is Maggot Heart with This Shadow. Okay, Deaf Ears 3 is from Final Gasp. The album is Morning Moon. Cool gothy goodies continue to emerge from their respective sarcophaguses, I believe, or is it sarcophagi? Last year yielded quality releases from The Cult and Devil Master, and this year brings Creeper, which we talked about last week, and this Boston-based 6-piece Final Gasp. Morning Moon is the band's first full-length strategically dropped in October to catch the Halloween hayride. The album consists of 12 songs, most under the 4-minute mark. And you can guess from song titles like Blood and Sulphur and Botched Ritual that these cats aren't out to brighten up any teenage dance parties unless they've been arranged by Sabrina herself. What sets Final Gasp apart from other goth and death rock bands seems to be the aggro drumming of Eric Lester, whose smart cymbal gymnastics and rolling tom work push energy levels to dramatic heights. He seems the perfect foil to the dark guitar oscillations of James Forsyth and Peter McAnamick, not to mention the haunting vocals of Jacob Murphy, who actually reminds me a little bit of Peter Murphy, though I doubt there's any relation there.
The vibe is chilling, but this band's got riffs, and the production job of the legendary Arthur Risk, Power Trip creator Crypt Sermon, serves the release perfectly. Climax Infinity kicks things off swimmingly with double bass pumps from Lester suggesting there is definitely some metal in this mix. Frozen Glare moves smartly from mid-tempo stutter to up-tempo gallop, bleak arpeggios reminiscent of Buck Dharma floating towards the frozen moon. The vibe of this music is gloomy without being depressing, very melodic, but still dark. Not fully punk, but borrowing a scrappy zest from the genre. The title track may be the disc's crown jewel, these Yanks sounding right almost British, with vocals and melodies suggesting prime Killing Joke. Bottom line, a record that crackles with youthful energy, guaranteed to wake up your next seance. Another triumph for the scholars over at Relapse.
We used to say that Jazz Coleman from Killing Joke has successfully predicted 19 of the last 0 apocalypses. Killing Joke, he actually went to Iceland between 2 of their albums because he was that convinced of the apocalypse. We'll do a collectorbation on Killing Joke one of these days. I got all their shit. So, but let's play Final Gasp. This is Morning Moon. Wow, that went by quick.
Yeah.
Talked about a lot of things. I didn't know you could ever play a prank on your mom with a potato. It's very interesting.
It's something I might have
She
to
doesn't
try.
strike me as the zany lampshade on the head type, but I guess she is. I don't know. We talked about what it must be like to be 101 years old. Give me morphine now.
I think I would just drink all day. I mean,
And you get away with it.
yeah, I don't,
We talked about habeas corpus in excelsior, Your Honor. The fun of traffic court.
They always say defending yourself is a fool's errand, but people do it. People do it all the time.
The lawyers did worse.
Yeah, this is true.
And then laughed over a martini with extra olives.
We talked about various Scorpion records.
Yes, we did. We really covered it. Willie John Roth should never sing. The end. That could be the whole review.
This has been the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast. Special thanks to Jason and Morgane for being on the show. Make sure to check out all of their products, including Syneye, Neutron Solstice, Skeleton Toucher. They have some great collaborations. And thanks to Jason for being for his second foray onto our lovely show. Snaggletooth theme, courtesy of Jens Kemgren of the Firebombs. Deaf Ears theme by Tim Green of the Fucking Champs. Season 3 artwork, courtesy of KC Angel. You can find him on Instagram at KC Angel Art. Deaf bands this week, get over there and check them out. Maggot Heart, Final Gasp, and Get Some. All content 2023. The Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Prediction. Tonight, these pickles will be fried and I will be pickled.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.